Good morning, everybody. We are live at this point, so we'll get the meeting started. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs.
He's here. He said here.
Master Barger.
He said here too.
Master Tudor.
Here.
Master Bakken.
Present.
Judge Taylor.
Here. Yeah, guys, just remember on your mute buttons when you're muted, if you can stay very, very quiet and you remember that you are unmuted, you Roger and Larry or whoever, if y'all wanted to unmute, you can. You just have to remember to stay very quiet. Remember, I thought it worked well last fiscal court meeting when to make motions and seconds. That we raise their hand and then you can unmute yourself. I'll call on you. I thought it was very professional and very organized and put together. I've seen some others across the state that they're all talking at one time and it's a little confusing. So I think our plan last time worked very well. So
Reagan, you're muted.
Roger, can't hear us. Can you hear us now?
Judge, you were muted there for a
Yes,
second.
we can hear you now, Reagan.
Okay, thank you. So Roger, if you will, unmute your phone. And lead us in a word of prayer, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pray. Father, we ask for your guidance and protection as we go through this fiscal court meeting. God, we ask for your protection as we go through this trying time for our county as well as our nation. Father, we thank you for the protection and guidance that you give us, and it's your precious name and Lord and Savior that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Roger. At this time, we'll say the pledge. If everybody will stand and step. Sheriff, if you will, lead us in the pledge.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Sheriff. Guys, y'all have had a chance to look over the minutes from the previous meeting, which was our April 14th, 2020 fiscal court meeting. Remember, these are being called special call meetings due to the fact that we are on our Zoom call and doing it on a teleconference. But it was our April 14th, 2020 fiscal court meeting. Do I have a motion and a second to approve those minutes? Larry?
Yes.
So I have a motion made by Larry and Tom Bakken. Have a second.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion at this time? All right, seeing none, Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Tudor.
Yes.
Master Bakken.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, guys. Next is it is our fourth Tuesday, which is our second fiscal court meeting of the month, which is when we always have our treasurer's report. And if everybody look at their screen, you will see Glenna there in pink. And Glenna's on here is going to give us our treasurer's report. Good morning, Glenna.
Good morning. Your treasurer's report should be in your Dropbox. And as of 3/31/2020, we had a total fund balance of $9,186,217.12. Our general fund revenues as of March 31st, 2020 is at 87.8%, and our expenditures are at 59.5%. Our road fund revenues are at 97.2% and our expenditures are at 74.3%. Our jail fund revenues are at 58.7% and our expenditures are at 72.2%. Our LGA fund, our revenues are at 95.8% and our expenditures are at 0%. CSEP fund, our revenues are at 11.4% and our expenditures are at 11%. 911 fund, our revenues are at 75.6% and our expenditures are at 57.7%. And our health fund, our revenues are at 69.4% and our expenditures are at 44.2%. So as you can see, none of our expenditures are above the 75%, which would be the mark that we would be at on March 31st, 2020. I have been working on the budget for the 2021 fiscal year. I have the draft ready and I will be putting it on Dropbox as soon as this meeting's over. I will also be emailing it to all the magistrates. And if you would like a paper copy of the draft budget, just say so in this meeting and I will get that prepared for you and leave it with the judge and you can get with him and get that paper copy.
I want my mail. Yeah, I'd like to have a copy, Glenna.
Okay.
Yeah, Glenna, I talked to several of them already, and they would like paper copies. So we'll just do 5 paper copies,
Okay.
and I'll get them out to all of them.
Okay. I will get those ready right after court.
Yeah.
Judge, I want to thank you for bringing my agenda to me.
Yeah, no worries, Larry. Yeah, and Larry, I'll probably just run your budget down to you too and do the same thing. So if that's okay.
That'd be fine. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
Does anybody have any questions about the report?
All right.
Thank you, Glenna.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it. Next is Scott. I think Scott's on here. So Scott, if you will. Yeah, there he is. All right. So next is our second reading of our ordinance 2010. It's our solid waste management ordinance. It says ordinance repealing ordinances 88-5 and 9101 and adopting new solid waste regulations pertaining to public health, safety, and welfare, regulating storage, collection, processing, transportation, and disposal of solid waste, providing a penalty for the violation of the provisions of this ordinance. Scott, I do want to have you explain this ordinance a little bit, and I should have done that, made sure that happened in the first reading. There were some concerns, I think, that several of the magistrates, myself, got about it, and once we explained it to them, I think everybody was understanding of what we were doing. Can you explain, since you've taken over as our solid waste coordinator, sort of the steps you've taken and working with the state to get here? Could you kind of explain this ordinance, please?
Sure, Judge. Good morning, everybody. I've been with the state of Kentucky, and every 5 years, the solid waste department is supposed to turn in a 5-year plan. We have reviewed our previous 5-year plan, and we're coming up in the next little bit where we have to submit a new 5-year plan. The state have reviewed our ordinances, and they have not been updated since the early 90s. We had a lot of language in our ordinances that were not up to statute, and there's been a lot of revised revised laws since then. So this basically is just getting us up to where we need to be with the state and putting all the revised statutes in play for Madison County. This will allow us to go forward in creating our 5-year plan. The only real new step in this ordinance, or the main one, is there's language in this ordinance that protects the county from someone coming in and just opening up a waste facility or opening up a dump facility. This gives us a little more leeway to be involved in that process and to either deny or approve their application process. I'll be glad to take any questions that have been directed to the court on this ordinance. But basically, we're just trying to get in compliance with on the revised statutes.
Scott, is there anything in there about people with 5 or 6 cars in the front yard or backyard or wherever?
I don't think that really is addressed in here, but this does give us a little more clarity on how we can handle complaints and what process we need to go through in order to address each issue.
Thank you.
I've got a note on my agenda from staff, and I need to have a little discussion on this. So I don't know if Colleen's on here or what, but on my note, it said that at the original, between the first, second reading, there was a little bit of a typo on the liability coverage on page 19, and wanted me to make that announcement, that it should have said $500 in liability, but I don't believe that's wrong. I think $500,000 in liability would be correct.
Well, it's actually, Judge, referring to what the person is allowed to pay as a deductible before their insurance goes into effect.
Okay.
The $500,000 would be astronomical for someone to pay out of pocket before their liability insurance goes into effect. So that's the reason we changed that to $500.
Okay. Okay, I got you. Thank you for that clarification then. So that has been changed then on our ordinance, for those that are watching publicly, I mean, that maybe have a concern or question about that. We have made that change. And that was on page 19 under 7.2. So, okay. All right. I wanted you to explain that before we had a motion in a second. So let's go ahead now on ordinance 2010. This is our second reading of ordinance 2010 solid waste management ordinance. Can I get a motion and a second, Roger?
I make that motion.
I have a motion to approve ordinance 2010 on our second reading. Do I have a second? John?
I'll second that, Judge.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Now, do we have any further discussion at this time by the court members?
Scott, do you feel like that's sufficient?
Yes, Larry, we've spent a lot of time, Colleen and myself have spent several hours going over this. We feel that this will bring the county to where they need to be, and it will also give us a better guideline going forward of how we can sort of make sure that the county is taken care of in steps that they wasn't before.
You got to always remember now, you need to put a little in there that will protect you and the county where you can enforce it.
Correct. And that does give us a little better guidance to the enforcement part of the ordinance.
I'm sure you've done your homework, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Tom, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment and ask that in reviewing it, I wanted to make sure that it was also geared, because reading through it, it appears that it's geared toward large waste collection and not necessarily the, as we've seen when we went out before and talked about franchising, that it might not be so much obligating itself toward a mom and pop. So a single somebody that's got a big, large fleet of trucks. So I had a little concern about that.
Tom, this gives us the option in there that if the county wants to move towards franchising, that we could, and the language is set up to protect the county if we decide to do that. But any change like that would have to come before court, and there would have to be a vote by you magistrates before we ever move to franchising for a garbage service.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'm comfortable with that.
Good. Okay. Thanks, guys. Are there any more comments from the court? All right, seeing none, at this time, we also would have public comment due to the second reading. I'm pretty sure in our advertisement that we had stated that they could send in their questions. Is that correct, Colleen?
That's correct, and we had no submissions, Judge.
And, yeah, and we had no submissions, as of that deadline.
Correct.
So thank you. So at this time, if there's no more discussion, there was no public comment, we'll call the roll. Clerk Barger?
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bodkin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Let's see, moving on. Next, we have our first reading of ordinance 2011. This is an amendment to the 911 interlocal agreement. And I think we have our 911 director, Ms. Wendy Lynch, on here. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning.
I'm gonna read the summary of this ordinance, and then I'll let you, Wendy, explain it a little bit, if that's okay.
That's great.
This is ordinance 2011. It's the first reading, an ordinance amending the interlocal cooperation agreement, public safety communication services interlocal cooperation agreement between Madison County, Kentucky, Madison County Ambulance Service, Kentucky State Police, Madison County Sheriff, Madison County Coroner, City of Berea, Kentucky, and the City of Richmond, Kentucky. So Wendy, if you want, at this time, maybe explain to the court members of what we're doing.
Yes, originally when 911 boards were set up, the state required that we be 51% law enforcement in order to keep a terminal here for the agencies to run their tags, license, and do all their criminal justice checks. Well, as times went on, they've decided that rather than having a board 51% law enforcement who could all have different views, the FBI is requiring that just one criminal justice agency take responsibility. And since 911 is not sworn and we're not a criminal justice agency, one of those 51% law enforcement would need to be the management control. So that's actually going to be Berea Police Department. So for what that means for us is when we would get user agreements signed, we would be the head agency to do that and then run things for them. But now they just have to have those signed with a criminal justice agency. So all that will be ran and it will be under the authority of Berea, but each agency will still have a satellite ORI. And what that means is Richmond will still run all of their stuff under Richmond Police Department. Berea will run theirs. The sheriff will run his. But when it comes time for audit, to make sure everybody's compliant, that responsibility would be to the Berea Police Department. And that's something that all the board members that were law enforcement had an opportunity, and Berea volunteered to do that. And it doesn't really change a lot for us other than the wording in the interlocal agreement, because we still house all the records here. We still do all the queries, and we, you know, anything that needs to be bought, since they're all law enforcement, is bought under the board. It's just that if there were to be a disagreement for a criminal justice agency on a policy, the way we do things, Berea would have the say so at the end of that policy, but we've never ran into that. Any questions or?
Wendy, do we still have a backup in Berea in case something goes down?
Yes. Yes, we do. We have 2 positions in the old Dresser building in Berea.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
John,
Wendy,
go ahead.
I was just wondering, Wendy, why Berea was chosen. That was because they volunteered to lead run the lead on that program.
They did, and at any time, if Berea decides they don't want to, or one of the other agencies want to, then the board can vote and they can change that. So this is really new across the state, so it came in really quick. But as of right now, we just voted and Berea volunteered, but any of the other agencies could have volunteered and could have been voted in, and they can always change that with the board vote.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's good to have it in 2 places, you know, instead of all of Richmond. It's good to have the backup in Berea in case something does happen.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we have an audit on May 13th. And so what this does is when the auditors come in, they will host those audits at the Berea Police Department, and then they will give them feedback. And then Berea Police Department would give feedback to the other agencies as they got audited.
Thank you.
So we get audited every 3 years from the state and every 6 years from the FBI. So Berea would be the main audit for the FBI, and then the main audit for
We don't
the
need the
state.
FBI in Berea.
We done very well on our last FBI audit, so we're good.
I commend you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate it. Guys, at this
Any
time,
other question?
if we could, have a motion and a second to approve the first reading of ordinance 2011 to amend the 911 interlocal agreement. John Tudor,
Judge, I move to approve motion 2011.
thank you.
I'll second it.
So I have a motion, John Tudor, and I have a second from Larry Combs. If there's no further discussion, let's call the roll, please.
Master Buchan,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Tudor,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor.
Yes. Thank you all. Next, if we can,
Judge
we need
Taylor,
to, yes.
it's Colleen. Because it's an ordinance, we just need to give out the email address again for comments.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, sorry, I'm not reading my red line, I'm sorry. Next, for any citizen that would like to make public comment on the second reading of 2011 amending the 911 interlocal agreement, please feel free to send that comment in an email to comments@madisoncountyky.us. Again, anybody that would like to comment on the second reading of ordinance 2011 amending the 911 interlocal agreement, please send your comments to comments@madisoncountyky.us. A copy of this ordinance will be available on our website at www.madisoncountyky.us under the transparency tab. Thank you, Colleen, for reminding me of that. Next, we need to have Casey Smith and Kyle Bidwell to show the video. Also, I think it would be appropriate that we have Willie Willis and our road administrator, Scott Shepard, as well, just to be engaged in the conversation if we have any conversation. So Resolution 2037, a resolution adopting and approving the execution of a rural secondary program agreement between the Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid, and accepting all roads and streets referred to therein as being part of that county road system. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Casey. Casey, did you want to make any comments today, or Kyle? I mean, typically you all get up and talk a little bit in a court meeting. I know this is new. I know this is new to all of us. So if you have any comments, proceed.
That's fine. Yeah, usually we do a little bit of a presentation to kind of describe what's on here on this form. Judge, is there any new magistrates this year who are not familiar with the rural secondary program?
No, we have the oldest magistrate in the state on here.
Right.
And we don't really have any young ones either. So, yeah, I think everybody's, we don't have any new ones either. So everybody's pretty experienced.
Yeah, good deal. The program that is being run for fiscal year 21, it's the same deal as what we've been doing in previous years. There's maybe a couple statements I would like to say along the way that may be a little bit newer, but I'll just start out here on the first page where it has the tables. And on the top, you'll see there's a flex percentage, which is on the maintenance ratings. We still have the 20% like what we've had in previous years. Madison County is looking pretty good. We're on target with the conditions of the roadways in Madison County. Now, these are just the state maintained roadways that I'm talking about. But every year we'll do like a maintenance grade on how we're doing on maintaining our roadways. So we're looking all right there. The next line would be the amount of flex funds that could be available. Right now we're projecting $303,385. Below that is the general RS funds, which is $733,059 with a total of $1.06 million. Now, the judge and I have talked yesterday, and this is one of those things that I just want to keep you guys informed that, these are projected numbers, and they were projected based on the tax revenues that we've received from July through December. Given our current situations, the fuel purchases have gone down, and the rural secondary program is solely funded by that fuel tax. So I just want to keep you guys informed that these numbers are going to change. I'm not an economist, so I can't really tell you how far it's going to go down, but we're talking possibly the 25% reduction. So I just want to keep that mindset for everybody so that we don't have any of these high expectations. So the two roadways that we have recommended for fiscal year 21 are identified under the orange diamond. And we got two recommendations. We got Kentucky 499, which is Crooksville Road between US 25 and US 421. And we're anticipating that'll be about $175,000 for that one. And then also Kentucky 3376, which is a continuation of where we left off from fiscal year 19. If you look at the blue diamond fiscal year 19, we had a portion of Kentucky 3376 from the county line to Bark Road. So what this recommendation is it'll take it from Bark Road all the way out to almost Cedar Drive. So that'll just be a continuation of where we left off. On the back, we have the map of Madison County, and we have a bunch of circles on there. Everything in blue is what we took care of in the past 10 fiscal years. Now we got two other colors on here. The ones that are encircled in orange over in the southeastern quadrant of Madison County, those are our recommendations for the General Rural Secondary Fund. Now you'll notice over on the upper, the northwest quadrant of Madison County, we do have a recommendation for the flex dollars. Now, just like last year, the county does have the opportunity to vote to apply the flex dollars onto a state maintained road. And our recommendation would be to work on Kentucky 1984, and that'll be between Newby Road and Kentucky 169. So, in conclusion of this presentation, we're asking for 2 votes from the court, and the first vote would be the acceptance of our recommendations for the general rural secondary funding, the ones in the orange diamond, and the second vote would be whether or not the court would wish to apply flex funds to a state maintained roadway. Now, another thing that Judge Taylor and I were talking about yesterday is that we anticipate the resurfacing of Kentucky 1984, that Maple Grove Road, to be about $150,000. Now, we will expect to see a balance left over in the flex funds. Now, whatever is not used in the flex funds, what's left over after this project is done, the county could use. And you also have the option of, you could use it this year, or you could apply it to next year, and you don't lose any money. It's not a use or lose type of situation. What happens is it carries over to the next year, and you just have a bigger pot of money to work with for next year. We had several counties that actually didn't even have any flex funding utilized from the previous year, so now they just have a bigger pot of money to address their issues for this year. So it's not a use or lose system, so I just want to keep that in mind. But it looks like that after taking care of Maple Grove Road, there will be a balance left over of flex dollars. So I'll just conclude with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Go ahead.
Larry, go ahead.
I have a question, Casey.
Yes, sir.
You figure that up. This is all due to gas taxes, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. It's all a projection at the moment, and it's based on the revenue that we've seen coming in from July through December of last year.
How do you all
we haven't started
calculate that?
I'm sorry.
How do you all calculate that? I mean, do you go to different individuals or people that sells gas and stuff, or you just take figures?
No, it's the figures that we see coming in from July through December, and then it's projected over another 6-month period, and that's what we'll be expecting to see come this July. Now, given like I was saying, with our current circumstances right now, we're going to expect that number to drop, but we really don't know that at the moment because we're kind of still in the middle of this. So it may be closer to June before we really get a solid number on how much it's going to be.
Well, I know I represent the 1st District, and I know we sell as much gas as anybody else, But the way I look at this, I'm getting nothing in the first district. I don't mean to
So
put
you're
you on the
saying what
spot,
the
but I'm just gonna tell you like it is.
Right, right. We in the transportation cabinet, we kind of keep in mind of more of a regional aspect. So we are looking at the needs that would be needed for the county, because this all affects the maintenance ratings for the entire county. If we see a larger need someplace else, I mean, that's where we would be applying that money. But it's really all based on how much need needs to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Okay, you answered my question.
Okay. Roger, go ahead.
I understand Larry's side of it there, but Larry's got to understand, I can remember sitting in court a few years and didn't get a dime's worth of this same money for my district, and everybody else got money, so it kind of comes around every few years that somebody's going to get left out. I know that don't help him any, but it's just part of the way it works out.
Well, it doesn't hit me any, and what I'd like to ask, I'll ask you, Judge, who come with this calculation?
So guys, I want to make sure that everybody's understanding of what we're doing here today. So the Crooksville Road and Dreyfus Road, which is the fiscal year 21, that is the state's recommendations of roads that are RS roads that are the worst shaped roads in our county. All right. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. If your state roads are not on this list, then that means that your state roads are better shaped than somebody else's. Now, that's on the $733,000. That's what they're saying is going to cost to do those roads. So the $303,000 is our flex funds that the state is giving us to, if we choose, and we'll use that money to put on our county roads. So they're flexing those dollars to the county and saying, hey, you can use that. Now, of that $303,000, we split that up based off our percentage, just like we do all the other roads. So everybody is getting a piece of the $303,385 if, here in just a minute, if we so choose to vote to keep that, to take that money from the state. So the fuels tax is a percentage of what it is at the pump, basically, right? And so when fuel prices are down, so is our revenue. And our county road aid that we get every year and our municipal road aid that we get every year is based off that tax, right? Same thing that this is based off of. So when that tax comes in and it's calculated, everybody's getting, they call it, I think, the formula of fifths, I believe is what they call it, that the counties are getting a portion of that money, the state's getting a portion of that money, cities are getting portions of that money. So that number is going to go down if fuel prices go down. If you go back and you look in fiscal year 19, Gabbardtown Road was done, Menlis Road, Dreyfus Road, Doylesville Road. This year in 2020, they're supposed to be doing Red Lick Road. If you look on there, that hadn't been done yet. And it might carry over to next year because of this coronavirus. But this year in fiscal year 20, the projects were Red Lick Road, 6.382 miles. Larry, that ought to make you smile right now.
No, it don't make me smile because I don't like the way you broke it up.
What do you mean? I didn't break this up. This is the state doing this. This is not me.
Well, that's a state road. That's not a county road.
But
I'm
it's
talking about flex dollars, Judge.
So you understand the recommendations then?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
And I don't disagree with them.
Okay. So all right. So
But I
what's
don't like the
what's the
formula
issue then?
that
What's
you
the issue?
use to cut my percentage way down. Let me ask you one question and I'll hurry. Tell me what each magistrate's gonna get out of that 303,000. Just break it down and tell me, so the public will know.
I'll have to go pull up my paper. We talked about this 6 years ago. This is how we've been doing it. Everybody gets a percentage
Oh, I
based
know how
off
you've
of
been
how
doing
many
it,
roads, how many miles of roads that you have in your district. That's what we base it off
We
of.
don't go on miles of road, we go on population. Judge, you know that.
No, we don't. Hey, magistrates, how long we been doing this? Go ahead. We got other magistrates. Tom, do you want to speak on this?
Yeah, we've been doing the miles of road since we first got in office up there. And I'm pretty sure that my percentage on that, I believe, was 4%.
Well, when we do the census, I'll ask Clerk Barger, when we do the census, how do we do it? We go by road mileage or we go by population?
Larry, what we're trying to do is keep
I didn't
every road
ask
up.
you, I asked Clerk Barger.
When you talk about dividing up the magisterial districts
Yes, sir.
and reapportionment, yeah, it's plus or minus 5% from one district to the other. That's how the
And
magisterial,
you go by the number of people, correct?
that's how the magisterial district.
I rest my case.
You have no case, Larry, but that's fine. You think about it however you want to. It's totally unfair that you base road mileage
Well,
off
don't
population.
criticize me because I got money in the past that some of the others did.
I'm
and
not
I appreciate
criticizing.
what Roger said.
I'm not criticizing you a bit. All I'm saying is it's
I
unfair to
just
the other
want the people of
magistrates.
Southern Madison County to know exactly how it's done, and then they can make their voice heard at the polls.
That's perfectly fine. So Larry
You'll
has
know,
about
you will know.
Larry has that's pretty brazen there, Larry.
Take it
To
any way you
threat-
want it.
to
It's
threat-
true.
Threaten me.
I'm not threatening you.
Yeah, you are. Yes, you are. 60 miles of roads, what Larry has. If
disagree with you.
I'm gonna pause this meeting right now, and I'm gonna go get my formula because we are gonna let the public know how many miles you have in your district.
I didn't
how
ask
many
you for
and how
miles,
many
I asked you
miles.
for the amount of money.
So if everybody hold on just 1 second, please. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for their patience. I did want to make sure that we got this straight. But this is what we figured up several years ago, and this is how we've done it since. Instead of taking our asphalt dollars and dividing it 4 ways, the reason we chose to do it off a percentage because this is the miles of road that we have in each district. So in District 1 only has 72 miles of county road. In District 2, he has 114 miles of county road. District 3, which has the most miles of road, is 159. And then District 4 is 126 miles of road. And so those percentages are calculated based off of so those percentages are calculated based off how much money we're spending towards blacktop. So for instance, District 1 would get approximately, which is Larry Combs's district, District 1 would approximately get 15, a little better than 15% of that funding. District 2, which is Roger Barger's district, would get a little better than 24% of that funding. District 3, which is John Tudor's district, would get approximately a little better than 33% of that funding. And Tom Bach in District 4 would get a little better than 26% of the funding. And so that's how that we have based how we divide up asphalt since 2015. Which is how that we will divide up these flex funds depending on the amount that we actually ultimately get from the state based off the fuel tax. So is there any other comments at this time? Yes, Tom.
Well, I just have a question for Casey and them. I would like to see if they would consider for the FY21 at looking at 2881. It's about the same amount of mileage, and where that is at, that is from the intersection at Duncannon, which is 2872. That's north to Highway 52. That's Cal East, and it's starting to get in really bad shape. Maybe they've already looked at those two and compared them, but in my opinion, it's a little bit worse than 499 is at this time.
Yeah, we have, I believe Kyle Bidwell might be on the line here. Kyle, would you like to address that? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
I looked at that section of road. We actually have some other issues. I'm working on some drainage issues through there too, because there's some water ponding in certain areas of that road. But based off of what I saw when I drove those roads, I did choose 499 to be just a little bit worse, just a little bit. That's why I chose that road. But at that time, next year, that it probably due next year, maybe. I mean, I have to go back and look at every road again, but typically that's how that works. I try to get as much I can done, with what I think are, the worst roads, and then from there we'll go. But I'll definitely, take that in consideration. And right now, like I said, we're really working to get that water ponding issue fixed first.
Yes, because it has that, and it's got a couple of sections. Right. There's one of them in a curve where the pavement's breaking up, and have a lot of accidents right there in that one area. So definitely something to look at.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other comments this time?
I have a comment for Kyle. Have you been through the city of Brea lately? Chestnut Street?
Yes, I have.
Pretty rough, isn't it?
Yes.
I tell you what, it's a nightmare to get through that town. And it's not the traffic, it's the potholes. Do y'all have any plans to upgrade that?
Yeah, we currently are. I mean, we're potholing as much as we can. Obviously, our crews are limited in size right now, especially with the virus going on. We have half our crew working right now.
Do y'all have any plans to resurface that road?
That's based out of the FDO5, and actually I don't choose that. That comes out of Frankfurt. It's based off. It competes against all other roads in the district. So
I mean,
I'm
it's a
hoping-
nightmare when you go through town at Chestnut Street, right there in front of City Hall. You got to
Right.
dodge three big places.
No, I agree with you completely. And
Okay. All right. Just as long as
like
you're
I said-
aware of it,
yes, sir.
I'll make a call to Frankfurt.
Yeah, the guys, and I want to stay on topic here. This today is about rural secondary roads. If it would be the pleasure of the court to have the transportation come back down and talk about other projects or city streets or whatever, we can have them come back down at a different time and discuss that. This resolution here is about our flex funding and our rural secondary program.
I understand. Thank you, Judge.
Judge, I'd like to see
All
it
right,
come
so-
back down when we can actually meet face to face rather than Zooming. It's a little more informative to actually have the paperwork in front of us that we're talking about.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. At this time, we have a resolution 2037, and we need to approve the recommended RS projects that is been recommended by our Transportation Cabinet, District 7, and whether or not that we will use the flex funds to ourselves or let them use them on Maple Grove Road. All right, so I will need a motion to approve the projects that they've recommended for fiscal year 21, which is Crooksville Road and Dreyfus Road, in the estimated amount of $733,059. And John, you raised your hand?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we follow the recommendations of the State Transportation Department and use their funding for $733,059 on Dreyfus. And what was the other one?
Crooksville.
Crooksville roads.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by John Tudor. I have a second by Tom Bakken. Is there any further discussion at this time? Seeing none, Clerk Barger, if you will, call the roll.
Master Combs,
No.
Master Berger,
Hey, unmute, Roger.
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bakken,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. All right, the second vote on this will be that we flex those flex funds to the county to be able to use those on county roads. So do I have a motion for the flex funds to be flexed to the county? All right, Roger?
Make a motion that we use the flex funds on county roads.
John Tudor?
I'll second that.
So I have a motion and a second to use the estimated, well, it's the flex funds this year is 303,000, but their estimate was 150 for the Maple Grove. So we will not be doing Maple Grove. We will be flexing that $150,000 to the county. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please, Clerk Barger.
Master Berger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bakken,
Yes.
Master Combs,
No.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. All right. Hey, Casey and Kyle, we really appreciate you guys. Thanks for everything you do for Madison County. I appreciate you all being on the call today.
All right.
Thank you,
All right.
Thank you.
Take
Take
care.
Like to, oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, if you just want to scan a PDF to me of
Yeah.
this, that'll be fine. So we don't need the original copy this time around. So,
Yeah.
so scan signature, and if you check no on the decision, that's what the court voted for on the flex funds.
Yeah,
All
as
right.
soon as court's over. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Hey,
Judge.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody's patience there. Next, we have our resolution 2038. This is Madison County and the City of Berea Fire Department Fire Service. A resolution authorizing signature of a memorandum of agreement for the fire service in the unincorporated areas of Madison County by the City of Berea Fire Department. Is Chief on? Yeah, hey, Chief. Chief, do you want to read it? Do you want to read it? You want me just to read it?
It don't matter. Whatever's easiest for you, Judge. If you want me
go ahead, Chief. Yeah, go ahead, Chief. You read it.
Okay. Whereas Madison County Fire and Rescue Department serves as the fire service for the unincorporated areas of Madison County, and whereas the Madison County Fire Department County wishes to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the City of Berea Fire Department City for the fire service and a portion of unincorporated Madison County, and whereas the City of Berea is agreeable to provide said services for payment in the amount of $68,000, and whereas this agreement will codify a historical arrangement between the county and the city, ensuring citizens receive the same fire protection as they have for the last 30+ years. Now, however it be resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve to enter into the agreement with the City of Berea and authorize the Judge Executive to execute on the behalf of the county to go into effect upon signature of all parties.
All right, and guys, in your all's packet, thanks, Chief. Guys, in your all's packet, you also see a map. We had the IT team, I think, and Megan worked with the chief on creating sort of a visual. You can see how big that service area actually is that they service for us. And this is something that's been going on for some time. We just never really had a formal agreement. And so we're trying to sort of catch up on making sure that we have those formal agreements. And so if I have y'all's approval on this, I need a motion in a second on resolution 2038. Tom Bakken.
I'd like to make the motion to approve resolution 2038 between the Madison County and the City of Berea Fire Department Fire Service.
John Tudor.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2038. Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to get a copy of that, Judge. I don't have it in my papers.
You don't have a copy of 2038?
I don't have a copy of the jurisdiction, who's in charge of what.
Okay.
I have the other two copies.
Okay. Actually, that's why you don't. I just printed this one out this morning.
Okay.
So I'll bring, it wasn't when I printed these out for you on Friday. I didn't have this.
I understand.
So I will bring it to you with your budget.
That'd be fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir.
All right. Can you please remind me to print that out or just go make a copy of it, actually? That way we'll just set it out there so I don't forget. You don't have to do it right now. What is it?
What number?
2038. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So is there any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bakken,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you all. Next, we have Resolution 2039. This is the fiscal year 1920 DPP and the Madison County Fiscal Court Intervention Program, Hope's Wings, C-128-1-1. A resolution confirming the Madison County Fiscal Court authorized the Judge Executive to sign on behalf of the county for the fiscal year 1920 DPP MCFC Intervention Program, Hope's Wings, C-1281-1, whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is committed to supporting the efforts of Hope's Wings, Inc., to empower victims of domestic violence to make safe and permanent changes through support, understanding, education, and awareness. And whereas Hope's Wings, Inc. wishes to cancel the original contract, the PON 21800001957, due to the vendor changing their vendor number from Kentucky 0034007 Madison County Fiscal Court to Kentucky 0033983, Madison County, and replacing it with PON 21800001957-1, version 1. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court finds it to be the public interest to continue to provide an intervention program through a subcontract with Hope Swings, Inc. to improve the lives of women and children who are victims of abuse in Madison County. And now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve and authorize the Judge Executive to execute same on behalf of the county to go into effect upon signature of all parties. Do I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2039? Roger?
So moved.
Thank you, Roger. Do I have a second? Tom?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion at this time? All right, seeing none, call the roll, please, Clerk Barger.
Master Buckton,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you all. Next is Resolution 2040. This is a CSEP generator bid award. Dustin's on here with us. Good morning, Dustin. Dustin, do you have a copy of the resolution in front of you? Hey, Dustin, if you will. Dustin, please unmute. Thank you.
Unmute, that would help. Yeah, Judge, I can go ahead and read it if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay. So a resolution approving the bid award pending negotiation to Henderson Services for CSEP backup emergency power system. Whereas the Madison County CSEP program requires backup emergency power for the Emergency Operations Center and the Joint Information Center located on South Keeneland Drive. And whereas the CSEP program current standby generator has reached the end of their life cycle in accordance with the CSEP guidance. And whereas the Madison County CSEP program needs an upgrade to a more cost-effective and reliable system capable of providing the backup power needed. And whereas the Madison County CSEP program team has received 3 bids, which have been reviewed and have come to the agreement to award the generator replacement bid to Henderson Service pending negotiation. And now therefore it be resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve the resolution and the authority to the County Judge Executive to execute same on behalf of the Fiscal Court. So we received, Judge, I'll turn it over to you. And if there are any questions, I'll touch on that.
Okay. I think it's appropriate, Dustin, for you to go ahead and explain the bids, and they have a copy of your bid comparison. So go ahead and explain that, and then we'll make a motion in a second on the resolution 2040.
Okay, excellent. So we received 3 bids, one from Arts Electrical Solutions, and Blue Sky Electrical Services, Blue Sky Electrical and Henderson Services. Those are the 3 bids we received. They all met the correct procurement process for the bids. All were received in time, opened in as needed. We reviewed those bids, and Henderson, there's 2 numbers there. There's a $425,000 and a $375,000 number. Our plan is to go with the option with the $425,000. That's a closed circuit transfer switch. What that'll allow us to do is, if in the future, if we ever have to change out these automatic transfer switches or these generators in the future, we'll be able to do that without killing power to the building. That's what the closed transfer switch will allow us to do. Right now we have an open transfer switch. That's what's in option 2. It is a little cheaper, but the challenge with that is we have to bring in portable power and possibility having to have some downtime in our power to the building. or our backup power to the building. So we're going to have to look into that. We believe that everything will meet code and the process will be possible with the closed circuit. If we have to, we'll revert to the open circuit. But our plan is to go with the closed circuit system at $425,631.
All
How
right,
big
thank
a
you,
unit
Dustin.
is that?
I'm sorry, I missed.
How big a unit is that?
So it's it's 2 units. One for the EOC is a 400 kW unit. That's what we currently have. And then the unit at the JIC is a 275 kW unit. There's some potential of going down just because the option that Henderson has provided us is possibility of changing the service into the building as well and lowering the amperage requirement for that. So there's a possibility we may lower the KW on that generator to 225, but the bid was based on the current 275 unit.
Excuse me, how big is the one out there at Station 2 Fire Department? It's still not hooked up.
That is a 45, I believe, sir. It's a 40 or 45 kW unit.
Are we ever gonna hook it up and just let it sit there and rot? You know, I brought this up once.
Hey, Dustin, I think it would be more appropriate. I think it would be more appropriate for Chief to discuss that. Then that'd be a question to you. You know, those generators were a gift that they were going to be turning back in, and we actually utilized those and kind of turned that around to where we could hook those up at our volunteer stations and our fire station too. Chief, do you know where we are for Magistrate Combs? Can you give him an update where we are on the getting that generator hooked up so it doesn't rot?
We're still waiting back on Mr. Hebron for Station 2 and Road South. He's doing both of them. Giving the bid right now on both of them, doing both at one time.
Okay.
I won't bring it up no more.
Thank you. I don't see anything wrong at all with bringing it up. So thank you for the update, Chief. Thank you, Larry, for bringing that up. Tom?
And what will be done with the old generators?
Well,
so go ahead, Judge. If you had a comment.
No, you're good, Dustin. Go ahead.
Okay. The 400 kW unit here there's a chance we may move it to another county facility. There's some plans in place for that. I'd probably let the Judge Taylor comment more on that. The 275 unit up at the JIC, our plan is to try to identify a grant. I'm currently working through a couple grant options to find a trailer to put that on that the road department's semi truck or tractor trailer unit would be able to move. And that would provide us the ability to provide portable generator power to from an emergency management standpoint to larger buildings such as the courthouse, or the annex, places like that we don't quite right now have the capability. We have an 80 kW portable that CSEP purchased a long time ago, but our goal with these generators is to repurpose them within Fiscal Court or Madison County.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dustin. John?
I've got a question for Chief. Do all the volunteer stations have a backup generator, Chief Gray?
I don't think all of them do. I don't know. I'm not sure if Union City's got one or not, but I know.
I'm sure they've got one. I've seen it down there. I don't think it's hooked up or anything, but they do have one. I just wondered, does all the other volunteer stations, Dustin, if you have any available, that are donatable to the county volunteers, we really appreciate those. Thank you.
I think, John, that I believe, Dustin, there was 5 or 6 of them when we replaced all the ones at the tower sites. And I'm pretty sure that we gave one to about every one of our volunteer stations. Is that correct, Dustin?
Yeah, I can confirm that Union City received one
Yes.
in that donation. I know we donated one to Paint Lick. I'd have to double check. I think you're correct, Judge. I know Whitehall had purchased one through a grant a number of years ago. I'd have to check Red Lick and Waco, but I'm pretty confident we did as well because, like you said, we had those 8 generators came off the tower sites, and we provided those to the volunteers just for that purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, you are right, Dustin. Several of our volunteer stations already had generators, so they didn't need them, but I'm pretty sure that we were able to give those that didn't one, and I'm pretty sure it made all of our volunteer agencies be able to have one. And, you know, the whole idea was behind it, if there was storms or power outages or that kind of thing, that it made little community hubs out there for residents to be able to go, you know, stay warm, you know, have a good warm meal, that kind of thing. So that was the whole idea behind it. All right, seeing the recommendation from Dustin on these generator bids, I need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2040. John Tudor.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to give Dustin authority to purchase a generator for $425,631 from Henderson Electric.
And guys, on the resolution, just to make sure that the motion is not messed up, the motion would really just need to be to approve Resolution 2040, because it spells out in there what we're needing the motion to be to allow Dustin to, if it says, I think, to allow them to negotiate with Henderson Services. So if that's, Counselor, if that's appropriate, what I'm asking of them.
So I'll restate that, Judge. I make a motion to approve Resolution 2040.
Thank you. Do I have Roger?
Second.
Is there any further discussion at this time? Seeing none, call the roll, Clerk Barter.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Berger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Buchan?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, thanks, Dustin. Appreciate it. Next is Resolution 2041. This is Cartersville Paint Lick Volunteer Fire and Rescue Automatic Aid Agreement. Chief's back on. Hi, Chief, again.
Hey.
Go ahead and read the resolution.
Resolution authorizing signature of a memorandum of agreement for automatic fire service between Madison County Fiscal Court, Cartersville Paint Lick Volunteer Fire and Rescue Incorporated. Whereas each party has the power, control, and responsibility to provide fire and rescue services within their respective boundaries. And whereas due to the close proximity of the Cartersville Paint Lick Fire and Rescue Station in Madison County, the Madison County Fiscal Court wishes to enter into an automatic aid agreement with Cartersville Paint Lick Volunteer Fire and Rescue Incorporated. Whereas the geographical boundary for aid is defined as 5 road miles from the respective station into Madison County per ISO. And whereas the parties entering into this agreement agree to provide the following services if it is available by the providing agency: emergency services, including basic medical support, hazardous material containment, confinement, and special rescue events, including vehicular collision, extrication, water rescue, water recovery, trench, building, and confined space rescue, missing persons. And whereas automatic aid agreement ensures the citizens, regardless of geographical location, receive quality first response in time of needs. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve to enter into the agreement and authorize the judge executive to execute same on behalf of the county to go into effective upon signature of all parties.
Thank you, Chief. Guys,
Thank you.
If I can get a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2041. I'm sorry, Tom.
Okay, Judge, I'd like to make a motion
Tom, I think you froze up. If you can still hear me. Tom was going to make the motion, it sounds like. There, maybe you're back, Tom. You froze up there a minute.
I'm sorry. Well, I did make that motion for approval of resolution 2041.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second? John Tudor?
I'll second that, Judge.
All right, thank you. Do we have any further discussion?
That 5 miles, is that just the main road coming back into Berea?
Larry,
Chief?
Larry, that's going to be from what we all know as the Paint Lick Station, which is Cartersville Paint Lick Station 2 now, I think. Then it will come from Cartersville's other station, Station 1. The Paint Lick Station, it sits right on the county line there at Paint Lick, so that brings them back into about 4.5 to almost 5 mile into Madison County on the 52 west side. 1295, that area, to help provide fire coverage to those citizens and lower their insurance ratings. We've been doing this since about 2008 or 9. We just never had done it officially and had the documentation for it.
And I also want to, go ahead, Larry.
How many men do they have down there at the rescue?
It's a volunteer fire and rescue. They've got at least probably 20 to 25 members. But there again, it's a volunteer, whether you get 10 shows up or 3. It just depends.
Well, when you read that off, you talk about water rescue and water recovery, trench, building, and confine. That's not putting any obligation on the county for the building, is it?
Do what now?
Rescue?
That will assist them or they assist us either way.
So if something happened to their building, we would be obligated to help them?
If something happened, if they had a call they needed us on, we would be obligated to help them.
I understand that. I understand that, but I'm talking about if they had a disaster, a hurricane, tornado, whatever come through, we wouldn't be responsible for that unit, would we?
We wouldn't be responsible, but if we had resources we could send them, we would send them additional resources if we could spare it.
Okay,
not putting us.
that's fine. I have no problem. I know exactly where it's at. I pass it once a week. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Guys, I also want you to understand too what automatic aid, I know some of these we're doing automatic aid, some we're doing just the mutual aid. Automatic aid actually allows them to be toned out immediately with in that service area with the primary responder. So for instance, you all saw the map, and Larry, I know you'll see it here in a couple of days, but that service area that Berea runs fire service in, when 911 tones them out, they only tone out Berea City Fire for that area. Madison County Fire does not get called out to those areas because that's the agreement we have with Berea City. Well, in this case, that Paint Lick in Cartersville, they will get actually automatically toned out if there's a fire with Berea City, if it's in that service area for Cartersville and Paint Lick. So there's not it's automatic. They automatically get called out. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes, on the automatic aid, structured fire, car wreck, or anything within that 5 road miles of their station, they'll be automatically toned the same time we are. If it's a mutual aid, we're toned, then we have them tone them, then they come on afterwards. But on automatic, they get the initial first call, same as we do.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Chief. Is there any other discussion at this time? Clerk Barger, do we have a motion and a second on this yet, on 2041?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. If there's no further discussion then, call the roll, Clerk Barger.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bakken?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Chief. But don't go anywhere, Chief. You got one more. Resolution 2042. This is a volunteer fire mutual aid agreement with several different of our volunteer organizations. So, Chief, go ahead.
The resolution authorizing signature of a memorandum of agreement for mutual aid fire service between Madison County Fiscal Court and Cartersville Paint Lick Fire and Rescue, Inc., Kirksville Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., Red Lick Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., and Brindle Ridge Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. Whereas due to close proximity to the stations listed below, the Madison County Fiscal Court County wishes to enter into a mutual aid agreement with the following partners: Cartersville Paint Lick Volunteer Fire and Rescue, Inc., Kirksville Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., Red Lick Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., and Brindle Ridge Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. And whereas each party has the power, control, and responsibility to provide fire and rescue services within their respective boundaries, and whereas the county and the partners wish to secure for each the benefits of mutual aid and fire prevention, the protection of life and property for fire and rescue, and whereas the parties entering into this agreement agree to provide the following services if it is available by the providing agency: emergency services, including basic medical support, hazardous materials containment and confinement, special rescue events, including vehicular collision extrication, and water rescue, water recovery and trench, building and confined space rescue. And whereas mutual aid agreements ensure the citizens, regardless of their geographical location, receive quality first response in time of needs. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve to enter into the agreement and authorizes the judge executive to execute the same on behalf of the county to go into effective upon signature of all parties.
Roger?
Make a motion for resolution 2042.
Thank you. I have a motion. John Tudor.
Second that.
All right. I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2042. I do want to thank Chief. We've been working with, engaging some of those sort of county lined volunteer organizations like Brindle Ridge to be able to help and sort of build that relationship and assist the southern end of the county. Same way with Paint Lick and Cartersville, being able to engage them a little bit more and having more of a relationship. So I appreciate your leadership on that, Chief. I think it really is great whenever we have those backups and we have those partnerships for the southern end citizens of the county. So I appreciate your due diligence there. Do we have any other discussion at this time? We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2042 on the mutual aid service agreement with our volunteer agencies that were listed there. All right, seeing none, we'll call the roll. Clerk Barton.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bucket,
Yes.
Mr. Combs,
Yes.
Master Berger,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate you. Next, we have resolution 2043. This is for fiscal year 2020. This is the Kentucky Justice Public Safety JAG grant. And we have our grant grant coordinator, Tom Webb, on the line with us. Tom, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, there you are. Yep, got you. Thanks, Tom, for being. Do you have a resolution in front of you?
Yes, I've got the draft I sent over. I'm not sure if it's identical to what you have in front of you, but I'll be happy to read this if you would like.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and read yours. We want to make sure that we read the appropriate one. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Resolution for application and administration of Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet Edward Bine Memorial Justice Assistant Grant for federal fiscal year 2020. Whereas the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet is accepting applications for the Edward Bine Memorial Justice Assistant Grant for federal fiscal year 2020. And whereas funds awarded under this program may be used for a variety of justice and public safety programs, including enforcement, prosecution, corrections, treatment, prevention, and education. And whereas the purchase of public safety equipment is one of the allowable uses of these funds. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, desires to make an application for FY 2020 Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet JAG funding. And whereas the County of Madison, Kentucky, wishes to authorize the judge executive
to make application for FY 2020 Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet JAG funding, and if the application is successful, to enter into an agreement with the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet to administer this award, to execute any documents which are deemed necessary to facilitate and administer the award, to act as authorized correspondent for this award, and Madison County Fiscal Court is requesting Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet JAG funds in the amount of $33,012.50 to be expended during the grant period to purchase tasers and associated equipment, whereas a 25% cash match from non-federal sources may be required, and therefore be it resolved this 28th day of April 2020 by Madison County, Kentucky. The judge executive is hereby authorized to execute and furnish all required documentation, including memorandum of agreements as may be required for the furtherance of the above referenced project, and to act as the authorized correspondent for said project.
Thank you, Tom. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2043 to allow us to apply me to sign documents for the fiscal year 2020 JAG grant. John Tudor.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2043.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Tom Bakken?
Second on that, Judge.
Thank you, guys. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? John Tudor?
Judge, would this grant that if we approve for it, be funds for the sheriff's department and the jail staff, or just where would the funds go to?
Tom, if you will, unmute, please.
Yes, sir. The way this is we're set up right now is the funds will be used to purchase equipment for the sheriff's office, specifically tasers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think the sheriff has shown concern about tasers, and those tasers go out of date. And so we have been working with Tom to see if we can't, get a grant for that kind of thing instead of us just spending it out of pocket, or the sheriff having to spend it out of his pocket. Any other questions at this time? Tom, I really appreciate your leadership in this. It is always good to help the sheriff out where we can, and rely on a lot of these grants. This grant money is out there. We just have to be willing to apply, and so it really shows the importance of your position, and I appreciate you doing this.
Thanks, sir.
Any other questions at this time? We do have a motion and a second, so if no further discussion, we will call the roll. Clerk Barger?
Mr. Bakken?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
That's Taylor.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tom. Next, we have Madison County Resolution 2044. This is a resolution of agreement between the city of Berea and the county on our animal control side. We have our department head, Katie Tibbs, on with us today. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning.
Yep, glad you're here. Do you have the resolution in front of you?
Yes, sir, I do.
If you would like, just go ahead and read the resolution for the court.
Okay. A resolution authorizing signature of a memorandum of agreement for animal control and care services between Madison County Fiscal Court and the city of Berea. Whereas the city of Berea City desires to contract with the Madison County Fiscal Court County to provide its animal control services, and whereas the Madison County Animal Shelter can provide animal control and services, and whereas the county is agreeable to providing said services for payment in the amount of $30,000, and whereas payment for said services is outlined in the memorandum of agreement for animal control and services. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve to enter into the agreement and authorizes the judge executive to execute same on behalf of the county to go into effect upon the signature of all parties.
Thank you, Katie. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2044. Tom Bakken?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2044 for the city of Berea agreement for animal control.
Thank you. Roger?
Second.
I do have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion at this time? Tom?
Judge, I just had a quick question. I saw a comment online or in the newspaper, something here just recently, last day or two, where that their city council had a question about the fee, and I just want to make sure that everybody's on board there with the 30,000 and that dollar amount.
Yes, Tom, they actually already approved this in their last council meeting. And that's why we're approving it now. So everything is approved, and I'll get with Mayor Fraley and we'll actually sign the agreements that are attached that you see to the resolution. Mayor Fraley has actually requested for us to kind of come down and give a report. I know, and we do want to have that open dialogue, and we're going to set up some type of procedure, how that Katie will communicate that probably directly to David Gregory, the city administrator down there, so that we keep that open line of communication and we keep that relationship. They're a part of Bria's an important part of our community, and having these good relationships, having these great understandings and partnerships is really good to really sort of be a unified approach. So we're happy of the direction that we're really going, and everybody is on the same page. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Good. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, we do have a motion and a second, Clerk Barger. So at this time, if you will, just call the roll.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Mr. Bakken?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. So guys, just not to make you nervous or anything, but we do have a PowerPoint that is getting ready. Chris, when I give him the okay, he's going to actually pull up on your screen Rachel's PowerPoint about our insurance rates for our fiscal year 2021. So here in just a second, I am going to go ahead. Or Rachel, do you have the resolution in front of you? Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. Yes, I do, if you need me to read it.
Yeah, if you will, let's go ahead and we'll read the resolution, and then we'll allow Chris to jump to the PowerPoint, okay?
Okay. So whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has established a voluntary insurance plan to benefit full-time employees, and whereas the insurance rates are updated annually, and whereas it is the role of the Fiscal Court to determine the rate for the employer portion of health and life insurance and to select vendors for optional policies to offer said employees. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve to adopt 2020-2021 insurance rates and carriers as follows. Number one, health insurance is through United Healthcare through United Medical Resources at the rate of $550 per Fiscal Court employee per month. Number two, basic life AD&D is through One America, not to exceed $5.25 per Fiscal Court employee per month. Dental would be through Delta Dental. Vision is through Guardian. Voluntary life is through One America. Short-term disability through One America, and hospital indemnity, critical illness, and accident policies through Voya.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate that. At this time, you'll see your screen. We'll turn over into the PowerPoint, and we'll follow along as Rachel goes over it. Let's give it just a minute, Rachel, if you don't mind, just to where everybody. So can everybody see the front page where it says 2020 insurance renewal? Give a thumbs up if you can see it.
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you.
Okay, so it's hard to believe that it is insurance time already. But every year, our broker with Assured Partners, Bud Carr, Stephanie Parrish, Glenna, myself, and various carriers meet at a minimum of 3 times a year to review over the plans, assess the benefits, and plan up for the following year. And so Bud and his team researched with different carriers to ensure that we were getting the best plan all around. But during our meeting, we discussed each carrier that they marketed out to, as well as their rates, their benefits, their networks, and their coverages before making the recommendation and bringing it to your attention like we are right now. So just to go ahead and start, this is kind of our insurance overview. And so this is kind of what I just read off of the resolution. Is medical self-insured, but that is going to be through UMR. I don't have any.
Rachel, have we lost you?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. So medicals through UMR, that's going to be through self-insurance. And so that cost would remain the same, both for the employer portion as well as the employee portion. For dental, it would be through Delta, and that's going to be that the cost would remain the same for the employees as well. Vision would be changing to Guardian, and that cost would remain the same. And we'll walk through each one of these a little further on the next slides. Basic life, AD&D, cost would remain the same. Voluntary life, cost would remain the same. Short-term disability, cost will remain the same. And hospital indemnity, critical illness, and accident policies, that cost would actually decrease. So there are going to be potentially a few carrier changes, but overall, there's no increase for employees. So we'll go to the next slide.
Thank you, Rachel. Yep, just continue on and we'll have questions. Magistrates, if you will, just maybe write down if you have a question on a slide, just write that question down on that slide and then we'll come back to it. Go ahead, Rachel.
Okay. So for medical, this is our UMR administration fee is going to be at a rate hold. So this fee comes out of the $550 that is already allotted per employee per month that the fiscal court pays towards health insurance and health insurance claims. But the Tokyo Marine HCC stop loss insurance, this is the same carrier that we had last year. So this is going to be a 24/12 coverage, which means that there aren't any claims that fall in the cracks. But for our specific insurance, it is going to be a 2% decrease, which is roughly about $4,000 annually. Aggregate insurance is an 8% increase. So that increases by $1,119 with an expected claims at a 2% decrease, which is roughly about $21,980. So as a total, we would have a decrease of 1%, which is $25,006 annually towards the medical claims expected costs. Okay, next. Dental and vision. So this is for dental. This is a rate hold. So we ended up negotiating this contract last year to have a 2-year rate hold. So those numbers would not change for the employee cost. Underneath vision, so there were a few different concerns with the network that was through Delta Dental's VSP vision option. And so we are recommending Guardian, which is who we had 2 years ago. It does have a broader network range, and they are offering it at the same cost as what Delta Vision had. So that's a great thing, because that's why we switched last year, was due to the increase in cost from Guardian, but now we're going to get it at the same cost with the same coverage. Life, ADD, and short-term disability. So these were all rate holds that were negotiated last year as well. So we do not have to worry about any type of increases from that, and that is until 7/1 of 21 for all three of those options. For our supplemental policies, so we currently offer these plans through AFLAC. Those supplemental policies are hospital indemnity, accident, and critical illness. So we're recommending moving to Voya for these benefits because they offer richer benefits for each plan. So what exactly I mean by that is that for each one of the line items within accident or hospital indemnity or critical illness, they would offer a higher benefit to the employee to come back. An example of this would be for the accident plan options. So one of the line items that somebody could get refunded back for, say, is an emergency treatment. AFLAC currently pays back $200, up to $200. Voya is $225 that they would pay back. So Voya pays back more towards the employee across the board for all three of the plans. And also with critical illness, the child coverage is included with the employee, whereas with AFLAC, they did not have child coverage. So that is automatically included. Once you were to sign up for critical illness, you would have employee coverage as well, or child coverage as well. For hospital indemnity, the hospital admission for AFLAC is $1,000. Voya, it's $1,150. So there's many different line items that we would get higher returns as an employee filing a claim with Voya rather than with Aflac. So they are cheaper across the board for employees, as well as they offer 24-hour coverage rather than just off-the-job coverage only for the accident plan. So that would be covered 24 hours if they were to get injured. It also offers a 5% tech credit towards our Benesolve bill, and Aflac currently does not offer anything towards this. So Benesolve is our employee navigator, and that is how everyone enrolls in insurance through open enrollment. That's where you can log in at any time and see the plans that you're enrolled in, and then pull up any of the contracts or questions that you may have for those carriers. So Benesolve is a great asset for us. And so the tech credit, Voya would provide a 5% tech credit towards our bill, which is awesome. Next. So in conclusion, across the board is pretty much the cost will remain the same for the employer as well as the employee, except for a decrease for hospital indemnity, critical illness, and the accident policies by changing to Voya. And then the only other change is vision, and that would be changing to Guardian. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate your due diligence in explaining all this to us. John Tudor, it looks like you maybe have a question. Maybe Tom's going to have one. So go ahead, John. John, if you will, unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you, buddy. Go ahead.
Okay. Rachel, on the employee premium at $550, is that per individual? Is that family coverage?
So that is the employer portion that we pay on somebody who elects our health insurance. That's going to be across the board, whether they just pick employee or if they pick employee couple or employee spouse, employee children, or the family plan. Madison County Fiscal Court pays $550 towards that plan.
Okay. And it determined on what kind of policy would be their cost, right?
Correct.
How much they improve their policy. Okay. One other quick question.
Mm-hmm.
You said Aflac's and Voya was paid off better than Aflac's. What is the difference in the premium of those two policies?
Let's see here. So for example, for the accident, so currently just for the employee cost is $17.34 with Aflac. For Voya, it would be $13.63 if you were to enroll in the accident plan. And then obviously they would change if you chose employee spouse, employee children, or the family plans. For critical illness, it's based upon age. So that plan's going to change. However, it is going to be less. The exact amount obviously would change based upon the age of the individual enrolling in it. And then hospital indemnity, employee is $22.06, but it would go down with Voya to $15.99, if that kind of gives you a ballpark.
So actually, Voya is a better coverage plus better payoff too.
Yes.
Okay, that's a better option there. All right, thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John. Thanks, Rachel. Tom, did you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment, and that's why I wanted to thank Rachel and the crew that worked on that, because, you know, it seemed like for years we've been kind of struggling with the insurance and going around, and I appreciate them going, and especially to the fact of them bringing it back to us that we might see lower cost for what people pay. So we definitely appreciate that, and I know the vision. I'm definitely glad you switched the vision because there were some issues with that. And I appreciate that. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And Rachel, as far as our healthcare fund, you know, we're kind of partly self-insured, right? I mean, it's this sort of hybrid self-insured plan, and we've actually done well with it. Would that be a fair statement? Glenn, I know, has come on as well. Just maybe it'd be a good time to maybe update the court on how well our health fund account is and sort of how that's worked so far.
I don't care to speak to that because I keep track of the health fund and how much we've built up. We started out 3 years ago. We had some rebates of about $200,000 to invest into this self-insurance fund. We have built that up to around 700,000 now. So the self-insurance has worked, knock on wood, very well for us so far. We are at a very comfortable state where if we had some major claims, we would be okay. So we would like to continue to build that. We don't see a reason to raise the employer portion or the employee portion right now because we are doing well.
And I think a lot of that too has to do with, Rachel's putting in sort of our safety committee. I think some of those things really help make our employees aware, from a standpoint of not getting hurt on the job and some of that is, I'm sure they take it with them, some of those safety measures with them when they get on their personal time, whether that be climbing a ladder at home, and so I feel like that we have done a very good job of really encouraging and promoting safety and keeping our claims down. So kudos, Rachel, Glenna, on you all putting your heads together and creating this self-insurance hybrid. Is there any other questions or comments at this time? If you all approve the recommendation of Rachel in Resolution 2045, I need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2045. Looks like Roger's hand went up first. Roger, you're muted. If you don't care, please unmute.
Sorry about that, Judge.
That's all right.
Make a resolution to approve, make approval to Resolution 2045 of the insurance rates.
Yeah, so I have a motion to approve Resolution 2045. Do I have a second? John Tudor?
I'll second that, Judge.
All right. So I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2045. Is there any further discussion at this time? All right, seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Biken,
Yes.
Master Combs.
Larry, will you unmute? Was that a yes? Yeah, he said yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. All right, thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, moving right along, guys. Next is the judge's report. And I'm going to put Colleen on the spot a little bit. So Colleen, be prepared because I'm proud of what all you all been doing with the census. And I really would like for you to take that excitement and pass it around to all of us today on our fiscal court meeting so we can sort of spread that energy and try to keep pushing the importance of our census. So I'm gonna let you have it in just a second. But the 2020 census is continuing. Every household needs to fill out the forms either on paper or online. Just a little over 50% of Madison County households have returned or answered the 2020 census. So please send it in as soon as possible. Only about 60% of Madison Countyans have filled out the census. So Colleen, sorry to put you on the spot, but I know you're up for the challenge and would love to have the update. So thank you.
Sure. So we have been working with Billy Ackerman and the Census Committee to try to increase our self-reporting numbers. Self-reporting are numbers that are given before they go door to door. Historically, Madison County, compared to the top 10 counties, not including Fayette and Louisville Metro or Jefferson County, we have scored last year. We were 9 out of 10 of the top 10 counties. And so we made a concerted effort this year to really try to do some social media outreach. And thank you to all of our partners, all of our law enforcement, City of Berea, City of Richmond, to our social services like Foothills. We've really had a lot of great participation. Right now, Madison County, since our 2 weeks of social media outreach, sorry about that, Judge. Hold on just a second.
It's okay.
Has ended up having an incredible response. We are only 5% away from where we were at the total end of self-reporting. And this money is critical for us for grant funding, for federal service funding that we receive across the board in education, healthcare, law enforcement, first responders activities. So we really are hoping everyone will go to the census's website and fill it out. This year is the first year you can do it online. But we have made great strides. And so we are now number one reporting of those 10 counties with regards to our turnout in the last 2 weeks. We are ranked number 3 in total turnout behind 2 very affluent counties. But I think that with more effort in getting the word out between now and September, the new deadline, we really can make great strides to accurately reflect our population for the county.
Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that a lot. Guys, it's so important for us to encourage, if y'all are on social media or whatever, if you can share those things, to just be positive about the importance of the census. And the other thing is that if people do not want somebody knocking on their door, then they need to go ahead and be proactive and fill it out online or paper form, mail it in. They've given several options this census time to be able to have some options in how you get that information back. But good job to our team, Colleen, Billy. I think Courtney at EMA has been helping. There's several. I know the cities are involved. They've had some really good videos.
Definitely Ethan Witt with Eastern Kentucky University. Yeah. Ethan was huge.
Ethan, I know our sheriff's department, our sheriff's sitting over here to my right. We are about 10 feet apart, so we are complying with social distancing. But our sheriff's department's been involved in it and done a video. It's actually been kind of fun to see everybody sort of coming together again on that unified approach to really make sure that we get the most funding that we possibly can over the next 10 years. So good job, guys. Great job. Next, I do want to please continue to limit your exposure to the pandemic, to COVID-19 virus by good hand washing, staying safe at home, self-isolating yourself, wearing masks, having the proper PPE. I know that it's hard to be confined in your house for a long time, but if you do have to go out, go out for those necessity things. But also just remember the social distancing, the mask, the proper PPE. I do want to give a shout out to our community, our healthcare professionals, and I'm very proud of how they've handled this situation here locally. We have been on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday call. I call it my COVID call with community leaders. And we're continuing that just to keep that open dialogue. Our first responders are on that call, our chiefs of our police, our mayors, our city manager, city administrator, our University of EKU, Berea College, our community action agencies, our school systems. There's approximately about 60 something folks that could be on the call at any given time. And so we have had that open line of communication. We know where everybody's at, what everybody's working on. And I really feel like that a lot of that with the numbers and the cases that we've had in Madison County, that shows why our numbers are low, because we all have been communicating. We've been really promoting and encouraging the social distancing and complying with the CDC guidelines. So kudos to everybody for being involved in that and really trying to win this war on this pandemic. The sheriff, hold on a minute. The sheriff does want me to pass along another announcement, is especially to our seniors on social media with texting scams. He got this alert. It says they sent an alert out to all law enforcement and government officials to check the tops of every purchased water bottle, because someone is going around injecting poison into the tops of water to where you don't recognize that it's been tampered with. You have to turn the bottle upside down and squeeze before opening it. If it leaks, throw it away. A few people have already died. The sheriff just made this announcement. So if you guys,
It's a hoax.
it's a hoax, yeah. This is actually the scam. And so just making people aware of that, especially our seniors, and wanting everybody to stay safe. So that message is coming from our Sheriff, Mike Cole. Thank you, Sheriff. That's all the announcements that I have today. Next on the agenda is the comments from magistrates. And I believe, Tom, you're first, I believe.
All right, Judge. I only want to again share the address for the census. It is very important, and it's my 2020census.gov, or you can call at 844-330-2020. I've done it online. It's very simple. It only takes a few minutes to do, and of course, we would all appreciate your help in helping us get those funds back. And that's all I have. And if you need me, you can reach me at 200-9765.
Thanks, Tom. Next, we have John. John, unmute yourself, please.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'd just like to say that the Red House Road is currently under re-blacktopping, so use caution out that way. The state road department's working on that road. I've talked with Brandon McIntosh and alerted him in several pothole areas on state roads through the district. He's been willing to really be proactive and try to get those filled as quick as possible. He's down a little bit on crew right now, so everything's moving a little bit slower. Talked with Superintendent Willis about some county roads that needs work in the upcoming summer. So we've been working on some road projects and getting that together. Just like to say that everybody's doing a great job here in Madison County. Our numbers of COVID-19 testing is way down. We don't have that many cases, and I'm so proud of the citizens, the way they're avoiding contact with each other and keeping their infection down. Just please continue to follow the guidelines, and it'll be over before we know it. So we're working back to getting back to work and just do it in a slow and steady motion and follow the guidelines as we go back. That's all I've got to say. Have a good day.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Raj?
Pretty much about what John said there. That's what I was going to mention is everybody just needs to follow the rules that the health officials puts out there and try to be as safe as they can when they're around other people. When you do get out, I try to wear my mask, and most people's playing by the rules. Every now and then somebody will get too close to you, but you don't have to be rude about it. Just get away from them and try to stay your distance. But I think everybody's trying to do their best. That's all I got.
Thank you, Roger. Larry? Larry? Did we lose Larry? Is he not, Chris? He's not on? Okay. We must have lost Larry. So now I think we have comments from department heads, but do want to announce before we go to that, I think Rachel maybe has something on the department head comments. May 5th, we are going to have a special called budget workshop, which will be a week from today at 9:30. We will be doing our special called budget workshop May 5th at 9:30, which is next Tuesday, right here on Zoom. So I'll get you all your all's copies of your budget so that you'll be able to go through it as Glenn is going through the budget. It'll be the same thing as we've done in the past. It's just not going to be in person. It'll be here on the teleconference on Zoom. Again, that will be May 5th at 9:30 in the morning. May 5th, 9:30 in the morning, which will be a week from today. So did want to make that announcement. Next, I think we have Rachel with department head comments. Good morning again.
Good morning. Did you miss me? So based upon the vote today for open enrollment, we are looking at May 11th through the 15th. So all emails will be sent out next week stating for each coverage in order for everybody to kind of do some research prior to actually having to enroll. May 11th through the 15th. So if you are wanting to enroll in something, obviously you still have to go online. And even if you're wanting to decline everything, you still have to go online. So I will be reaching out, and just check your email for everything. Thanks.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate the update. Do we have any other department heads? And I'm sorry too that I passed up our counselor, our clerk, Kenny Barger. I normally ask you guys if y'all have anything. The sheriff, he doesn't have anything, but Kenny or Jenny, do y'all have anything? No.
No.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you guys out there a minute ago. There obviously is no comments from the audience. But audience is always welcome to send in questions they might have, and then we could answer those if they wanted to use the email and website that we announced earlier. Next will be a motion to pay the claims and approve the transfers. Roger?
So moved.
John?
Second that.
So I have a motion and a second to pay the claims and approve the transfers. If there's no discussion, Clerk Barger, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Biken,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Des Taylor.
Yes. Our next regular scheduled fiscal court meeting will be May the 12th. Again, it'll be back here on Zoom at 9:30 in the morning. And again, that'll be Tuesday, May the 12th, 2020 at 9:30 back here on Zoom. I need a motion and a second to adjourn. John?
Move to adjourn.
Roger?
Second.
Call the roll, please, Clerk Barger.
Master Biken,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Des Taylor.
Yes. Thanks to everybody and God bless. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.